I'm Jonathan Rees. I teach American history at Colorado State University, Pueblo, and I've been here at the museum talking about my book, Representation and Rebellion, the Rockefeller Plan of the Colorado Fuel and Iron Company from 1914 to 1942. Well, what I've tried to do is write a history of a company union. It was called an Employee Representation Plan at the time, and that's a union created by management rather than an independent union like most unions are today. And what I've done is followed the union from its origins in the Ludlow Massacre, the infamous labor massacre of 1914 in southern Colorado, to when it was finally replaced by an independent union in 1942. And what I do is follow the ups and downs of the plan, the happy times at the beginning, when workers were really just happy to have any kind of representation at all, and then how they became gradually disillusioned by it. Some of the strikes that come along, and why, with the help of the United States government, they finally jettisoned the plan during World War II. The book really exists because the Bessemer Historical Society is working to preserve the Colorado Fuel and Iron records down in Pueblo. And so they have this collection of documents that's bigger than the entire holdings of the Colorado Historical Society, and they're all about this one company. And what happened is around 2005, my friend Greg found a stash of company union minutes where they had the exact transcript of all the meetings, where you can actually hear workers' voices complaining about their jobs. And this is really rare, because most workers don't leave letters, they don't leave diaries, but here they are in their own voices complaining about their jobs. When I saw that, knowing that this is not something you'll find for most company unions, I said this is going to be the basis of a book. Well, you can see firsthand accounts of a lot of things, and so it's more the fact that it's workers that made it really exciting. It was also really exciting because the Bessemer Historical Society's archives is about 10 minutes from my house by car. So I could work on it just about any day I wanted to for at least a little while. So having it, being a local and having this amazing resource right next to me, that's what really made it amazing. I could do this book in a comparatively short period of time. Most historians take years with their work. I have another project I've been working on and off for 10. I could do this in about 2. From beginnings to at least the first version of a complete manuscript. I think the most interesting thing is the story of the relationship between labor and management. I mean, the workers have their independent story, management has their independent story, but they feed off one another. And it's the dynamics between those stories where sort of management gets to dictate what labor relations are going to be like first, and then labor reacts. But then management has to adjust depending on how labor reacts. And they all do this through the plan. And so the ups and downs of the plan are sort of a way, they symbolize the ups and downs of that relationship, from friends to enemies and all the little parts in between. That strike of 1913-1914 is just about the most important thing that ever happened in southern Colorado in terms of attracting attention from the outside world. It was literally front page news for about 5 years. So if we're talking about how the history of this region is seen as the history of the country, you can't do anything better than that. I think that as the first employee representation plan, what happened here in Pueblo and in the mines surrounding Pueblo has a lot to do with the history of that kind of labor organization. They ended up being banned in the National Labor Relations Act of 1935. And if the Rockefeller Plan was a better model for all the other employee representation plans that came afterwards, that might not have happened. It's sort of a road not taken in employee representation plans. Most employee representation plans, most company unions were scams, which is why they were banned. This was something more, and I think that's what makes it worthy of a whole book, as opposed to a lot of the employee representation plans that were much less serious in their intent.